up, it's CinemaShogun here, and this story about the three Kansas City Chiefs fans who were found frozen to death in their friend's backyard is finally starting to gain some steam. And I believe that this is the important role that us YouTubers play because, you see, this situation has been unfolding since January 7th. Their bodies were found on January 9th. But here we are, what is today? January 25th. And this story has just now started to gain some traction over the last couple of days. Here we are, January 25th. And it's not until weeks later that the mainstream news outlets are finally interviewing family members. You see, the mainstream media, sometimes they sit back and they wait to see what we're talking about before they deem, oh, this case is important enough to cover. This case is important enough to cover. I fully believe that if it wasn't for people like me, Ikidmel, Pascal, and others, that this story wouldn't have gotten the attention that it's getting now. But this story deserves the attention. It deserves the attention, but let's be real. In true crime time and true crime standards, this story is already ancient history. Think about the Savannah Soto case. That case happened, came, and went, all within the span of a couple of weeks. The crime was committed, the people were arrested, people covered it, or people covered the case, and people were over it within the span of a couple of weeks. But here we are with this story, and it took 2 or 3 weeks just to start getting the news out there. And finally, it's getting out there. And finally, the family members are able to come on these large platforms and tell their stories. They're there to remember their loved ones who they lost, and they're there to try to find some justice for their brothers, their fathers, their husbands, their fiancés. You know, these three men played a lot of different roles in a lot of different people's lives. We don't have just one family that's affected. We have 3 families that are affected. So it's a very tragic situation. And it's frustrating that it took this long for people to really start paying attention to this case. But you have to understand that it seems as if this family is almost having to fight. I think is maybe a strong word, but it seems as if they're like trying to have to fight against the local police department, because the local police department is out there basically trying to write this situation off as if it's a big nothing burger. You know, like they're not even trying to investigate this case from an angle where, oh, maybe there was foul play or there's something going on here. But yeah, it's kind of wild to think about when you think of how fast some of these cases just move. But when it comes to this case, here we are weeks out, and just now the families have been given a platform to really get a lot of this information out there. And, you know, this is one of those stories where if you hear it, you automatically think something's wrong. It's not a reach. You don't have to reach. You don't have to speculate too much. You don't have to use your imagination. You just hear the story and it automatically doesn't sound right. It automatically gives you that little weird feeling inside, if you will. But luckily, even though it's been weeks, luckily I am grateful that the family has now, you know, been able to get an opportunity to speak out about this case. And just this morning, the brother of one of these 3 individuals was speaking out on a morning show. So I want to go ahead and play that clip really quickly. Before I do so, though, I need a huge favor from all of you all. It's free. It only takes 1 second. I need you to hit the like button. Let's get this video to 3,000 likes. And I need you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. But with that being said, let's listen to what the brother has to say, and then I'll be right back with more thoughts.
3 Kansas City Chiefs fans were found dead in the frozen backyard of their friend, Jordan Willis, more than 2 weeks ago. Willis's attorney admitting a fifth person was also in the house when Willis went to bed on the couch, where he slept for 2 days, he says, until his friends' bodies were found.
Before he fell asleep, they were going to leave. He actually escorted them to the door, said their goodbyes, opened the door. He went back on the couch and he crashed.
But that fifth person reportedly denying all of that. He claims that he left the house while the three friends and Willis were still awake watching Jeopardy and insisting that he was not the last one to see them alive. Grieving family members, including our next guest, demanding answers. Jonathan Price. His brother was one of the men found in the backyard. His name was Ricky Johnson. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for joining us. I know your family is just devastated. Everyone on this couch has a brother. You say things are not adding up. What do you mean?
Well, for one, like you guys just showed, does he know when they left or does he not? Does he know if his dogs were there? Does he not? There's way too many questions still needing to be answered, and nobody can answer those questions in honesty except for Jordan.
Yeah.
The fifth person, he was there, but he wasn't there after a certain time frame.
Well, and didn't Jordan's attorney say, and correct me if I'm wrong, that he saw his four friends out at the end of the night?
Yes, that's what he originally said. And then he kind of backtracked on it after the fifth person came out. And that's just the stuff that's not adding up.
Yeah.
If you have to change your story, then how do we know at any time were you telling the truth? It doesn't make any sense.
Jonathan, so many people, when we read this story for the first time, we thought, who sleeps on a couch for 2 days? How did that happen? What do you think happened?
I mean, that part makes no sense to me, especially when it seems like you're a responsible individual, a responsible enough individual to gain a PhD in what seems like a very complicated science. If you're one of those type of people, in order to sleep all day on a Monday, which I assume was a work day, if you're working from home, I mean, I don't know how that is possible.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be able to do that.
It's being reported.
And my job's not nearly as complicated.
Yeah, it's being reported that Jordan Willis, the guy who owns the house, who was allegedly asleep on the couch for 2 days, is an accomplished scientist. What are police telling you?
Police have not told us a single thing, not my mother. The last my mother heard was that they were still trying to get through the phones, and that was well over a week and a half ago.
And Clayton's fiance, Clayton is one of your brother's best friends. All three of them, I understand, were inseparable. Clayton's fiance had to break into the house 2 days later because she wasn't hearing from her fiance, right?
Correct.
And then what did she find when she went into the house?
Well, she announced her presence. She made that very clear. And there was no answer from anybody, so she assumed that nobody was home. So she continued her search to where she, the official statement wasn't actually released, so I don't know who she found on the back porch. But as soon as she found someone on the back porch, she immediately called the police. And when the police showed up, that's when Jordan answered the door as if he had no idea anything was going on. And from there on, it was we haven't really gotten something we can call the truth from him anyway.
And then the three men were found in the backyard. Were they frozen to death?
Well, the official cause of death is not stated, but they do say at the very beginning that they did freeze to death. Yes.
Yeah. Were there any drugs involved? Have you gotten toxicology reports back?
Toxicology is still waiting for a couple weeks, they said. That's the last we heard from Jordan's lawyer, because apparently they are anxiously waiting for that as well. I'm sure they would be, especially if he does know what's going on.
Jonathan, I know that the police are conducting this investigation, but what's your family going through, especially not having any answers?
That's the biggest thing is, I can't speak on all of my family, but for myself, it's been very difficult. And I don't think that I can ever fully heal until I find out what happened. and I'll never be fully healed. I admired my brother so much.
What was he like?
I looked up to him. Huge sports fan. Everything sports, no matter what it was. His 3 beautiful daughters, he loved them to death. You can see him when you look at them so much. They look just like him, and it's very difficult.
How are they doing?
Well, not all of them understand. The older 2, definitely going through a very hard time.
Gosh.
I'm not sure if the youngest one fully understands right now, being 4. I'm not sure how much she's seeing online and everything.
Yeah.
But it's just very difficult to
Jonathan, this is a very important story. Everyone is concerned about this because we all watch football. We've been watching the Chiefs, and we can all relate to this story. We go to, tailgates. We go to people's houses to watch games, and we all bring a dip or chips or whatever. And this happened to your family, and it's just so bizarre. You're in our prayers. God bless you so much, Jonathan.
Now, I've seen some people saying, oh, there's no big mystery here. Obviously, these 3 dudes OD'd. I've seen a lot of people writing this case off saying, obviously, those 3 men were on substances. This is why it happened. But listen, I think that everyone here believes that it is a strong possibility that these men OD'd. I don't think that anyone here is denying that possibility. And that's not why people find this story mysterious. The mystique, the mystery behind this story, the reason why a lot of people are talking about this story now is because how the situation was handled. If police are so adamantly saying that there was no foul play, I would believe that there's no visible injuries on these 3 men. So I would assume that, yes, they took something, they were given something, either knowingly or unknowingly. Yes, I believe that they had to ingest something, right? They had to consume, they had to take something. Either they knew they were or they didn't know. I think that's basically understood. But what's not understood is why there was no phone call to police. What's not understood is why, from what we're assuming, these 3 individuals were laying dead in their friend's backyard for 3 days. And the friend not only didn't call police, not only didn't get any help, but he ignored text message after text message after text message. He ignored phone call after phone call, social media message after social media message. He ignored the knocks on his door. For God's sake, he even ignored someone breaking into his home. Which would lead you to believe that the reason he is dodging everyone is because he knew that there was something wrong. So, there's a lot of speculation out there. People think different things, but I think it's understood that these 3 individuals either partook in taking something or they were given something without their knowledge. Everyone, I think, is on that page. But what happened afterwards is what the mystery is. And then the fact that Jordan's story keeps changing, I think that's what is really sending off the alarm bells for a lot of people. If Jordan came out with one consistent story and the story stayed the same the entire time, I don't think we would be talking about this case right now. But because Jordan and Jordan's not so smart lawyer is out here on the news every day doing the media rounds, changing Jordan's story every 5 minutes, Now people are really suspicious. If Jordan said nothing, or if Jordan came out with one consistent story, we wouldn't be sitting down having this conversation. But Jordan's story has changed. Every time Jordan's lawyer speaks, every interview, the story is changed just a little bit. And the story was even changed again last night. It's gone from Jordan didn't know when his friends left to Jordan walked his friends to the door. And now I think they're saying that Jordan was asleep on the couch, but he saw his friends go to the door. It's like these minor little details. The story keeps getting tweaked every single interview. And that's where the mystery is. You know, everyone thinks that the three individuals were given something or they took something. You know, we got that part of the story understood. The part of the story that we're trying to figure out is what the hell is going on with Jordan. And if Jordan's innocent in this situation, why in the hell are you changing your story 5 times? Now, personally, I don't necessarily think that Jordan, conducted a weird science experiment on these guys. I don't necessarily think anything like that. But I do think that at the very least, Jordan must have had the knowledge that something happened to his friends and he maybe panicked in the moment. But we'll talk more about my thoughts about all of that later. For now, let me know what you think about this story down in the comments below. While you're down there, if you're feeling generous, you can donate to the channel via Cash App. I'll have my Cash App in the pinned comment. You could also donate via Super Thanks or for free. You can help the channel in many ways by liking the video, subscribing, sharing the video, ringing that notification bell, and all of that good stuff. But with that being said, I'll talk to you all very soon in the next one.